the gasping of people, the clicking of cameras, everyone looking up at the sky. I've only ever seen them on videos, but they are spectacular, or so I've heard. The last total solar eclipse was on my birthday, on August 21st, and it is also on my brother's birthday. It would have been so cool to see one on my birthday and my brother's birthday, but we had planned a trip to roughly the other side of the world. Regardless of the disappointment, I decided I want to talk about this marvelous event and see what kind of mark it has left on history. First, I would like to look at what exactly a total solar eclipse is and what makes it so special. Second, I would like to look at all of the things we have been able to discover throughout history due to the total solar eclipse. And finally, I would like to look at what all of this compels us to think about. Because the total solar eclipse is one of the things in the heavens that declare God's glory. The total solar eclipse we are able to see on Earth is something special. It is almost one of a kind in our solar system. You can see solar eclipses on other planets, and even on Earth, solar eclipses aren't rare, happening roughly 2 to 4 times a year, according to NASA. But total solar eclipses are super rare in our solar system and can only be seen from the surface of the Earth roughly once every 18 months, according to Joe Rao from Space.com. See, the moon is roughly 400 times smaller than the sun, and the sun is roughly 400 times further away from us than the moon. And so, when the moon and the sun line up in the sky so that the moon completely covers the sun, they appear the same size. And that's what makes our total solar eclipse. But not only that, the total solar eclipse is also amazing in another way. When the light of the bright sun is covered by the moon, you are able to see the corona, or the atmosphere of the sun, which you are normally not able to see due to the brightness of the surface of the sun. Now, you may have noticed that I said our total solar eclipse is almost one of a kind in our solar system. That's because there's a chance that a phenomenon like our total solar eclipse does happen on another planet. The planet Saturn. The total solar eclipse there, however, only lasts less than a second, so really, we live in the best place to see total solar eclipses. Coincidence? Did it just happen to be that the best place to see total solar eclipses is where humans live? No. God created it that way so that we may look at all He has done for us and marvel. But He also created it as a vehicle to discovery. Now, let's look at all of the things we have been able to discover throughout history due to the total solar eclipse. It was 1868, during the total solar eclipse, that helium was first discovered by Jules Janssen in the atmosphere of the sun, according to Hadley Leggett from Wired. See, every element, when burned, gives off a different colored light. For example, calcium or aluminum burns silver white, calcium burns brick red and blue, and copper burns bluish green. When Jules Janssen was studying the total solar eclipse, he noted a strong yellow light in the solar spectrum. It was close to the frequency of sodium, but another astronomer, Norman Locker, saw that the frequency of the wavelength did not match what sodium produced. And so he hypothesized that this was a newly discovered element and named it helium after the sun. The total solar eclipse was one of the roads leading to the discovery of the second most abundant element in the universe. That's amazing. But the total solar eclipse also allowed for the proving of the theory of relativity. See, the theory of relativity predicts that the mass of an object would bend light. The best way to test this was by looking at the light of a star next to the sun and see if it would appear in a different place than it was normally seen. The sun is the biggest thing in our solar system, and so it is the best thing to test the theory. The sun, however, is so bright that experimenting would be nearly impossible, except when a total solar eclipse happens. And so, during the 1919 total solar eclipse, the theory of relativity was tested by Mr. Eddington, according to Ian O'Neill from Space.com. And sure enough, the light of the star next to the sun appeared in a different place than it normally did. See, our total solar eclipse is a gateway to discovery. It is a hunting ground for new thoughts and information. The total solar eclipse even led to the amazing discovery that the corona, or the atmosphere of the sun, was in fact hotter than what we see as the surface. All of these things we were able to discover just by God allowing for total solar eclipses to happen on Earth. Do you see it? The total solar eclipse was a gift to us from God. He created us in a world where there is one, so that we may look at all He has done for us and marvel. Now, I've been talking to you all as if you were Christians, but perhaps there are some of you in this room who may doubt. And if you are that person, and you still cling to the theory that everything was created by chance, I would like you to think about this for a moment. Think about what this compels us to think about. This is just one example of how the universe seemed to have been created with us in mind, but there are many more. But even if you look at just this example, there is so much of what scientists call a coincidence or an accident. But how? First, there's nothing, and then comes everything. It's like a box of Legos appearing out of nowhere and then dumping itself onto the ground into a perfect house. But with so many more coincidences than even that. Could it have been chance that life happened to be sustainable on a place like Earth, and not a place like Venus, where the sky is shrouded in smoke? Could it have been chance that life happened to evolve, if evolution were true, into things that could think, that could recognize beauty, and that could conduct scientific experiments? And could it have been chance that the moon happened to be 400 times smaller than the sun, and 400 times closer to us than that same sun? Is all of this due to chance? Or might there be something more? Please, I implore you to think about this. Now, some of you may be Christians, and you may be wondering, well, what about me? Hopefully you've learned something today, but more than that, I hope you will join with me in praising God for His wonderful creation. David rightly said in Psalm 8, 3-4, "When I consider the heavens, the works of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have ordained, what is man that you are mindful of him, or the son of man that you visit him? For you have made him a little lower than the angels, and have crowned him with glory and honor." We are like atoms compared to the sun, like a grain of sand in the solar system of giant planets. And still, God creates beautiful total solar eclipses for us to gasp at. Won't you join with me today in praising God for His wonderful creation? The total solar eclipse is so perfect and extraordinary. The sun and the moon come together in the sky in such a unique way. But again, this isn't even the best part. The best part is that we humans are able to see the total solar eclipse. God is so amazing in His creation and design. He even made it so that due to the solar eclipse, we are given the chance to discover. All of this crawls with the fingerprints of a designer, with the fingerprints of God. Truly, the total solar eclipse does declare God's glory and shows His perfect order in the creation of the world. David, won't you join with me today and David in Psalm 8:9 and say, "O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is your name in all the earth." Thank you.